Welcome to the South Texas Football Unlimited High School Football Podcast, part of the Lone Star Gridiron Sports Network. How you guys doing today? Well, the band's back together.
The boys are back in town.
It's been a while. It's been 6 months.
Six months.
Since we were all in the same room together.
One collective gathering.
That's a lot of Sundays.
We had Pat together after the Todd Dodge camp. But
that was sloppy.
We had to cut the interview because it was all over the place.
I got pulled over leaving. Thanks a lot.
That's your fault, by the way.
Because you drive like a maniac.
No, I was like 2 miles over the speed limit.
Pat has a half-ton diesel. He thinks he's cool.
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little bit. Probably not.
Probably not. Shout out to Mark Gonzalez.
Yeah. OG Bully Farm.
Which they should pay for that sponsorship now.
They should.
Yeah.
We're going to cut it. We'll threaten them more.
Yeah.
Probably not.
All right, yeah. Today we're going to discuss Districts 15 and 16 4A Division II Small 4A. Right. Again, this is our second episode going into the Valley. How do you guys feel about the Valley, guys?
I want some carne asada.
Oh, we got a little treat for you when we get to the Port Isabel interview. So we've got a couple coach interviews today. We've got Coach Mike Troutman from the Sitting Pirates, and we've also got Jason Strunk from the Port Isabel Silver Tarpons. That's what they're listed as here. I've never known them as Silver Tarpons. I've just known them as the Tarpons. So we're going to stick with the Tarpons. All right, so stick around for both those interviews.
Tarpons are only one color anyways.
Yeah.
Let's
silver.
get real here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Right. For them folks up north, they don't live by the water.
I don't fish. No. All I know is catfish.
Silver tarpons.
Without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into the episode.
Hey, did you know that Lone Star Gridiron does mini helmets? Yeah, custom designed mini helmets that match your school. When quality and attention to detail are important, choose authentic Lone Star Gridiron mini helmets. Our library currently has hundreds of different Texas high school football teams. If you don't see your helmet, reach out to us about creating one. And hey, they make the coolest fundraisers for your booster clubs. Go to LoneStarGridiron.com and look for mini helmets on the top menu bar.
All right, so we're back. First district we're going to look at is our district, 15 4A Division II. Pretty
household names.
It was household names, but it was a surprising finish last year.
Yeah.
Right? The team that we thought was going to finish up top finished at the bottom.
Did not see that coming.
No, I don't think anybody did. I don't think they saw it coming. The district didn't see it coming. We had Rudy in last year. He didn't see it coming.
No.
Right? So this is going to be
Who was it again?
Sinton.
Sinton, Pat.
Sinton. Yeah, Sinton was.
I predicted though that I thought Rockport was going to have a good year, and they ended up winning the district. They had a pretty tough preseason, so
they did. I mean,
we kind of saw that one coming. I think
West Oso came out of nowhere.
Yeah, West Oso was a shock.
We've talked about it. I mean, in a few episodes already. I think anybody outside of West Oso thought that was a shock.
What about Orange Grove? Do you think was that a shock to you? A little
bit,
maybe?
Did so bad. Yeah, I had them.
Just
winning I had them winning the district last year.
Yeah, kind of looking at the.
I had Coleman King as my MVP last year, and that blew up in my face. But whatever, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you should just be the sound effects guy, Pat.
I'll try.
You're too far away. There you go. There, that's more like it. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into it, right? Who do we got up first?
You got the West Oso Bears, led by Pete Guajardo.
Preseason MVP candidate on their team.
Malachi
Flores, who had an outstanding season last year behind center.
Did he finish as the district MVP?
We'd have to look that up. Tim, you can actually look that up.
Stat guy Tim.
Look up, go to Google and just look up
Google
15 4A All District. And it'll take you to a website, and you can pull everything up, and it's got everything in there. So in the meantime, while he's looking
look at
that,
we're not even 5 minutes in. We got Tech Tim doing work already.
I know, dude.
On his new HP computer.
On his new HP computer. Shout out HP. So coming back, right? Obviously, Mr. Flores, right? He's probably a guy you're going to want to watch out for this year. They do lose a big piece in Craig Clemens to graduation last year. He was Malachi's favorite target last year, and he was kind of I'm not going to say their do-all, but he did a lot.
Yeah, he did. But you got Cameron Williams returning and Dominique Baker, who's also returning, and they put up some pretty good stats. I think Williams had 106 yards and 14 touchdowns rushing, and then on the defensive side, he had 106 tackles. So you're going to have, obviously, Malachi leading that offense. That's going to be a nice little 1-2 punch. 5-5 returners, so it's not like a complete rebuild. So I think West Oso to me, I would push for Westos to have a similar season like they did last year. I think you'll have someone step up for what Craig Clemens did. I think a lot of that's going to be the fact that Malachi Flores is just a tremendous athlete. So you're going to have to account for his feet, and that's going to free up some receivers as well.
Well, who they're counting on is Justin Powell, who had 35 catches last year for 303 yards. So he had a pretty productive season playing second fiddle. I mean, lack of a better word, right? Second fiddle to Mr. Clemens. But I think they're a contender.
For sure.
For that number one spot. They lost a couple games last year. Who did West Osa lose to last year? Rockport was one.
Rockport. I want to say Ingleside might have stole one on them.
Odom, San Diego, Orange Grove.
There it was, Orange Grove. That was a surprise.
Orange Grove was the surprise.
Yep.
Orange Grove, I think, is what kept West Osa from being in a tie for district maybe?
Oh, that was that crazy game. Remember, 49-50?
Oh, yeah.
It was. Wasn't there a fight or something in that one? There was some kind of. I thought there was some kind of disturbance that happened in that game.
Orange Grove was either way down or way up.
That was
someone made a really good comeback that game.
We saw that game. There was like 3 games.
We kept watching the score, right? And we're like, what is going on here? Yeah, so I think they're going to be up. They'll be up at the top of the discussion for that
Simply
number one.
For the fact you got Malachi coming back. That's huge.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything with him on it.
MVP was Chase Rios from Rockport.
Oh, okay. No surprise there, right?
Newcomer of the year, though, had to have been.
But he was on the first team, right? Coleman King? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I was a quarterback. Now we're looking for Flores.
Wow, he got snubbed.
Did he?
They had Coleman King at first team, and they had him Chase Rios as the district MVP.
I don't know about that.
And he didn't even get Newcomer of the Year.
Wow, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's a little shocking.
Yeah. All right, so that's West Osa.
Disagree with the Collar Times on that one.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's the coaches that vote on that.
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
you're right.
It's the coaches. So who do we got next?
You're looking at the Ingleside Mustangs coming back with 5 off on the offensive side of the ball, 6 on the defensive side of the ball. They were 5-6 last year by district finalists, 3-2 in the district, and Coach Hunter Hamrick is in his second year.
I would like to say I called that them making the playoffs.
Yeah, you
They
did.
squeezed right in the 4th spot.
You did.
Right. And good news is Luke Snyder's coming back for his 3rd year as a starter. Right, so he's coming back as a senior. They do lose a big runner in Robert Eppert, who contributed big time on that offense last year.
He was one of our weekly
he was up for
week.
Players of the Week.
He's one of the original Players of the Week.
Yeah. So they do miss a big piece there. But, I mean, it's a plug-and-play offense, right? They run a variation of the option.
Yes.
Right? I don't want to call it the slot T or the wing T, but it's an option offense. So it's a run-heavy offense, and they got a quarterback who's a 3-year starter there. 2nd year under Coach Hamrick's system.
Yes.
Right? This is Hamrick's 2nd year?
Second year.
Yeah. So I think they build on it. They lose big Marlon Williams up on the offensive line. That guy was, what was he, 6'7"? Something like that?
Big guy.
He was a big guy. They lose him. Who else are they losing, Tim? They got any other names on there that are big losers?
Those are the 2 big ones.
Big losers.
Let me rephrase that.
Wow.
Let me rephrase it. It is.
Those are the 2 big
There
ones.
were no children hurting during this episode.
It is 6 a.m. on, what's today? Monday morning. Okay. And
Starting everybody else's
Monday,
week.
give me a break. Yeah.
Hey, if you're a Lido fan, listen, he'll understand now.
Marlon Johnson. He went to New Mexico State.
So he went D1. He was a big boy. So they lose a big piece of the offensive line.
Eppert went to Southern Nazarene.
That's in Oklahoma, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's in Oklahoma.
Right? That's
SNU.
Yeah.
It's in Oklahoma.
They're contributing. They're continuing their football careers at the next level. But I don't know. Well, no. Actually, looking at the district, I think Ingleside slides back in again.
Yeah, looking at the district, I got we'll get to that at the very end of this episode, but I do have them making that spot, taking a spot for the playoffs. I do see Ingleside getting there.
Yeah, right now, projections, they don't have anybody listed as that fill-in for Eppert, but
I think they're just going to be a solid team all around.
They could be.
And they also have some classy uniforms.
I do like their uniforms.
Right.
I like those silver numbers.
That all year.
Yeah, they do look pretty sweet.
There's not too much to really touch up on Ingleside. It's just going to be one of those teams you're going to have to watch as the season begins, but they could be a team that shocks some of the favorites around here. Because the type of ball they play, it's just ground control and clock control, right?
Yep.
So that's what helps teams that are a little bit of lesser advantage compared to teams that may have a little more firepower in them. I mean, you see Calhoun do it year in, year out. That's what they do when they get deep in playoffs, and they almost did it to Fort Bend Marshall. So who's saying Ingleside can't do it to a smaller scale down here?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I concur. All right, next up.
You got the Orange Grove Bulldogs, led by Coach Mark Del Percio.
Second year.
Second year as
Second
well.
year.
He also had a 5 and 6 by district finalist, 3-2 in the district, and he's bringing back 5 on the offense and 6 on the defense. So almost mirror image of what Ingleside's doing.
Big piece. Big piece of loss. First team all district quarterback
Coleman King,
who's gone. Right, so now they got to find a quarterback.
He's going to Southern Nazarene too.
Wow, they must be taking him by the bunches.
And I think that to me that's a little bit more of a void versus losing Eppard at Ingleside. Because with a running back, you can always just plug and play. And Orange Grove is a throw-in team predominantly. So now you're going to have to find a guy that can come in and lead that offense like Coleman did. I think Coleman King was, a 3-year starter?
Yeah.
So they had 3 years of good quarterback play back there, and he had a good arm. So replacing that, it's kind of the situation I think Ray has as well, trying to replace Brad. You're a throwing team, so you're going to have a first-year starting quarterback, and hopefully he can come in and fill that shoe.
He'll have a couple of targets. Connor Eulenfeld and Jake Marsh, they had pretty productive seasons last year. 40 for 372 and 25 for 491. So they caught a lot of balls.
Combined for 13 touchdowns apiece.
Yeah, for both, but so
That's a hell of a meme.
Yeah, it is. So he will have some good pieces in place once they decide who's going to be that quarterback. So Orange Grove, big question mark. My opinion on that team this year.
They are. Looking at the district, though, they have a very good chance. I think this district's going to play out a lot like last year with just that spaghetti bowl mix on who's going to make those 2, 3, and 4 spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in what pecking order. So that would be an interesting district to watch.
That 4th spot. We'll get to it when we get to the end of the episode. But, yeah. And the next up, we've got everybody's favorite.
The Rockport Fulton Pirates.
Yeah. 19 and 17, right? 19 gone, or 19 returning, 17 lost. 5 and 6 coming back on both sides of the ball from an 8 and 5 regional semifinals, 5 and 0 in district.
Yep.
I mean, you said it earlier. That record is deceiving because they played a very heavy preseason
They
slate.
played a tough schedule. They had Goliad, Alice,
Lavernia.
They won.
Lavernia.
They won everything in district.
Yeah.
Refugio, didn't they? No, they had Goliad. It was they had Goliad.
Ocampo, Alice, Goliad, Lavernia.
So all tough schools.
And
They were all two. They were all close.
Yeah, every loss was within, 7 points of each other? I mean,
22, 26, 15, 20, 8, 20, 21, 20.
And a lot of it was simple little mistakes, penalties here and there.
Undisciplined. If you remember, they started that season very undisciplined, and that was no secret. Everybody knew it. And that kept them out of some ball games, some penalties, costly penalties at the inopportune moments of the game where you've got to get tougher on that stuff. I think they get better this year. They have to replace a quarterback.
Yes.
Again, they have to replace a district MVP and a running back in Chase Rios.
Yes.
But again, it's an option offense. However,
you think they're a little more? Don't say it.
We did talk to Coach Seibert.
Yeah.
At the Todd Dodge camp, and what did we find out? I'll leave that up to you.
He said he's going to start slipping a little spread back into his offense.
Yeah,
so
you'll see some flashes of the spread.
It's similar to what we did when I played for Coach Seibert and he's an offensive coordinator. We ran predominantly wing T, but we had probably 10 to 12 plays that were packaged for shotgun, and I think he likes to do it when he has a quarterback that he can throw with. So that will be interesting to see that unfold.
So right now it's Loudermilk, Garrett Loudermilk, who was a defensive end last year?
Yeah, but
was he a running back?
Defensive back.
So he was one of the quarterbacks. Remember when we talked to him going into the season last year, it was a battle, but they went with the more experienced hand. But Loudermilk still got involved. He had 418 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns passing, by the way. So apparently he's part of the push for the spread. Maybe he has a pretty good arm. We'll have to see if we get a chance to go check him out. They also have 2 running backs coming back.
Yeah, Ty Klender's one of them, 850 yards, and Ryan Wells, 700 yards. And that's the beauty of this offense, right?
And it shows they said they came starters throughout the season. I think Rios got banged up here and there.
Yeah, he missed a few games.
He's a little guy, so he took a pounding here and there. And I mean, they played bigger teams. They played 3A. They played up to 5A. I mean, they played Alice. So, or I guess 3A not so much bigger team, but Goliad, we saw them last year. They were huge.
Yeah.
For a 3A team, they were big. So.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see these pieces they're going to start putting in the offense. I mean, this district is full of running teams.
Definitely.
Right? So other than Orange Grove last year, right? And West Oso. So now you start adding some more of that in, and it makes them more. They're not a one-dimensional team anymore.
Nope.
Right? So it makes them that much more dangerous. And they had a very good playoff run. Who did they lose to in the playoffs? Navarro, right?
Geronimo Navarro. Yeah.
And then that was what, 3 rounds? They went
Yes.
3 rounds deep?
Yeah.
Well, every year they've gotten knocked out of the playoffs. It's not by fluke team, you know.
Yeah.
The prior 2 years, I think before that was, well, last year's state champ, Waco La Vega, and the years that they lost to Waco La Vega, I want to say La Vega made it all the way to the finals and got knocked out by Argyle, or Carthage. So, I mean, you're playing some pretty heavy opponents right there, and it was weird to me that Waco La Vega, they got picked at like round 2. Back-to-back years, round 2 they had a plan. It was just the way the districts fell, so that kind of sucks when you get handed that slate, because we saw Waco La Vega. They were unreal.
Yeah, I saw them on TV in the state championship game, and yeah, nobody, from what I could tell, nobody could have held like
Liberty Hill was a good team, and they had a hard time, and they were a run team,
Yeah.
just like Rockport.
Yep.
So you kind of see what happens when you have that kind of athleticism against you.
So Rockport, they're listed at 781 students, and that's incorrect.
Yeah.
Right? You know, we talked to Coach Seibert, and that's another thing, right? So for those of you guys who have forgotten, because it hasn't been in the news lately, they were almost a direct hit by Hurricane Harvey.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a lot of students going to different districts. They had to let coaches go because of payments they received from the state and not having the students to account for that stuff. I'm totally familiar with how that works.
That sucks.
And it does, big time.
Because that's not your fault.
No, it's not. I mean, it's a natural disaster. You think they'd give some kind of waiver or something. Who
You'd
knows,
think,
right?
right?
Or something. But they did get a new gym.
Yep.
Right? They got a new gym from Ellen. Right? That
True.
was a pretty nice thing, right? Jay was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it was. He was a star on that show.
He was. But Rockport's going to be in the mix again this year, right? They're the defending champs. I mean, I say it's theirs to lose,
I agree.
right? But
To me, that's the heavy favorite for the one spot. I think they have the biggest target going into the season on their backs from all these teams, because you want to knock off the best, right?
yep, definitely. And that brings us to the Robstown Cotton Pickers. Pat's old stomping grounds.
He's actually wearing a Robstown Cotton Picker hat right now.
He is wearing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
They're not going to go far.
Hey, so for the people that don't know, Pat, you grew up in Robstown, but you went to school where?
Tulsa Midway. Graduated.
So
2007.
I'm trying to figure this out.
They're not going to go anywhere either.
I'm
so.
trying to figure this
Damn.
out. How do you go from Robstown, bypass possibly the winningest team in this area, to go to Tulsa Midway for school?
Because he didn't care about sports?
My brother went there. So my mom transferred me over there.
Were you a soccer player?
No, I didn't play
Were
soccer.
you
He played
tennis
tennis.
I played tennis.
Huh.
I played soccer
Recreationally.
recreationally.
You were trying to
Do you have recreational pants?
Like pants
you have
I
cleats?
wear. I did have cleats.
What kind?
Academy?
Hey, language, dude.
Academy?
That's not a
Hey,
that's not a type
That's
of
a
cleat.
store.
Yeah, that's where I bought them at. I don't remember what they were.
Dude, we don't want an NSFW stamp on our freaking
Whoa.
podcast.
You wore cleats for tennis?
No, soccer. We're talking about soccer.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
His recreational days of soccer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sorry.
No, tennis. I had Adidas.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not Academy?
No, I had to order those.
Do you have ankle braces?
No,
Do you wear a tennis bracelet?
no,
Wristbands?
no. I didn't wear a wristband.
Hat.
Headband.
James
Headband.
Avery Charms.
No,
Headband.
no. I didn't wear a headband.
Okay.
Just wore a cap.
All right, so Robstown. Right. They've got 17 Letterman coming back, 21 lost, 6-4 coming back off of 1-8, 0-5 in district.
Tough.
Right. It was tough. Who did they beat?
Benketti?
Nobody.
Oh,
Yeah,
Benketti, who
Benketti.
had a very bad season last year.
Yeah, they
Good
did.
job, David.
Hey,
He did tell us to pick Benketti.
but they do have consistency, right? Coach
Losing?
Garcia's back.
Yep.
He's back, and that was his big concern, right? Is trying to build the consistency and try to get the kids to come out. Looking at this list of kids they have coming back, players to watch compared to what they had last year, there's an increase in numbers. I think I'm with Pat on this one. I don't see a big change.
No,
No.
they're
Coming
not. They're
back.
not a football school.
They're a bunch of baseball players playing football. Is essentially.
Do they even play Do they even play football? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're that good at baseball, a lot of kids nowadays don't even play. So some of their best athletes might not even be on the field.
You're-
Unfortunately,
yeah.
you know.
You're
But that's
right.
just what it is when you're a baseball school.
Yep.
Hey, their kicker's got a good leg, though.
Robstown's?
Yeah. And a 46-yard field goal. 9 field goals, long as 46 yards.
Is that on the website?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why. It's you pay a little extra for that, so you get that information there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Because that was the difference maker. And I thought he was going to be better than Jared Zirkle this year.
No, that ain't going to happen. No. I don't think there's going to be very many better than Jared Zirkle this year.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Dude, it's hard to talk about Robstown, right? Because it sucks whenever this is a continuing trend for them.
And you know,
And it's hard. It's not that we don't care about him or we're trying to blow him off, but
they had those years in the late
It's
90s, early
struggles.
2000s with
You talking about baseball?
no, on football.
Oh, I didn't care
Hey,
about it.
The Tipton family.
Hey,
right? What was that guy? We talked about it that one day. No, not that part of the family. The
who was the NFL?
The transfer?
No.
Upshaw?
Yeah, I mean that's the most famous
Gene
alumni.
Upshaw. Yeah, Gene Upshaw.
Actually, outside of their most famous alumni, Patrick Emanuel could have been alumni.
You could have
Could have
been
been
number one.
alumni.
Social media sensation.
They've also lost some good talent in running backs for the last 20-something years
Yeah,
as well.
there's a
It's like a whole string of
So,
families.
There's a pipeline. No, the guy I was talking about. Remember we talked about it one day, and I had to look him up. And your brother knew who he was.
Oh, that was my cousin.
Oh, what was his name?
I don't
What
remember.
were their names? I can't remember.
I thought it was a certain family, but it
Did.
wasn't that.
But it wasn't
family.
that family. But they're related or something, aren't they?
I don't
And the
think
prices.
so.
Oh, no, they're not the Prices. But
No, they get taken to another school.
we can talk about it now. There's no more.
Oh, they all graduated?
They all graduated. He was
Okay.
They were the last one. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
Cal Allen kind of steals talent.
Yeah.
That's
A
what
little
happens when you're at a big school like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That name will come back to me. It'll come back. And we talked. I know we talked about it last year on the show, but they had some decent players in the late
Back in the day.
90s, early 2000s.
But that was when guys would play both sports.
and they
real
refused
athletes.
to go to
Well, I think a lot of
that
that.
school on the other side of.
Yeah.
I think some of that had to do with
What would you call it, the
maybe
bridge?
The oil field boom.
No.
Little oil field boom back then. They have
624.
a lot of oil field companies
Oh,
around that
yeah.
area,
Yeah.
right? I mean, am I wrong on that? Like Alice, the same way. Alice was predominantly a bunch of oil field kids for the longest time. In the 80s and 90s when Alice was making good runs. I think that was a big part of it. They had a lot of oil field money over there.
Chris Brazel played for the Eagles.
So, I mean, that might have been part of it.
Yeah,
You know,
I don't know.
could be.
I just know that the shutout pitcher that made it to the Braves.
Indubitably. Yeah, Jesse Garcia.
Mhm.
Well, they had a few guys. We talked
Yeah.
about it the other day. No doubt, he's like the Robstown historian when it comes to baseball. There, so
Matt-
that's two
Matt-
shout-outs for no
Matt-
doubt on this one.
hey, no
Matt
doubt.
Top
Flores?
shelf.
Who?
I think it was Matt
Manuel,
Flores.
Manuel too.
Graduated
Yeah.
in 06. I played against him. He threw like 80 miles an hour when we were like 12.
Okay,
Oh,
this is
I don't-
football season. We're
I
talking
know.
about
I
baseball
was
now.
just
Let's
saying.
let's move on.
We gotta cut that.
Well, that's fine. Whatever.
It's just
It's what it
banter.
is. Yeah, it's just banter.
Back to Robstown.
Back
They're
to-
probably not going to go to the playoffs.
I'm gonna have to agree with Pat.
Yeah, I don't see him making the playoffs.
Sorry, Robstown.
Sorry.
And last but not least, the disappointment
Yeah,
for last season, right? The Sitting
Ooh.
Pirates.
Oh,
Right.
that's just a tough circumstance.
So all this stuff, all these numbers that we're about to read off are irrelevant, in my opinion,
Dust in the wind.
right? Because, okay, so you've got a new head coach in Mike Troutman.
Yes.
They've got 6 Letterman returning, 12 lost, 5 and 6 coming back from a 2-8, 1-4 in district. Who did they beat
Bruni.
in district?
Oh, in district?
Mhm.
Robstown?
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. And they beat Bruni and Robstown,
Yeah.
right? And
we'll get them next year, guys.
yeah. So, and
Talking about Robstown.
the reason why I think that this is all these numbers are irrelevant is because there's a big shakeup going down and sitting, a big one, right? So, Coach Allen retired this year, and for those of you guys who are unfamiliar, he retired because of a medical condition. He's still around. But now Sitton brings in one of their alumni, Mike Troutman, who graduated in 93, 92. Spent all his career up and around the Houston area
Yes,
as a
he did.
coach, right?
He only coached at 2 other schools
2 other schools, but he's been in coaching
for a long time.
for a long time. That says something about your longevity, not jumping from school to school. I mean, that says one thing, loyalty.
Yes.
Right. So we went in and sat with Coach Troutman, and we're not going to steal anything from the interview. We'll let him speak for itself. But changes are coming to Sitton.
Oh yeah.
Right. The first of changing the offense, the spread's gone, and we'll hit on that in the interview. But I'm interested to see how this new offense is gonna work out.
Yeah.
You know,
it's gonna be a learning process with anything, right?
it is. But the key is from the kids are buying in.
Yes.
Right. They're liking it.
They're motivated.
They are motivated. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I saw because to me down here, Sinton's a pretty good, what I would consider to be kind of a destination job for local coaches. To me, Sinton's gonna bring in a big name coach. You know.
Well, look at the names that have come out there. Right. Chris Souza.
Gary
Davenport.
93.
And to me,
Tom Allen.
when I first heard
93.
of the Troutman hire, I was a little skeptical. I mean, being honest.
Well,
and if Coach Troutman listens to it, I wasn't really sold on him being a head coach, right? But after going and meeting him and talking with him and his philosophy and offense, I bought in.
Well, you know, we and sorry, Coach.
That speaks volumes for him.
Sorry, Coach, but we thought right off the bat, right, that you guys never had a coordinator job.
No.
Right? I mean, how is he getting a head coaching job if he hasn't been a coordinator? Come to find out,
was.
That wasn't the case. He just did not take the title. And we're not going to steal any of that because it's a very interesting story.
It is.
On what happened with that. So we're not going to take anything away. But, yes, he's been an offensive coordinator.
And he was a defensive coordinator.
And he was a defensive coordinator.
So
it's a pretty interesting story when he tells it. So grab your Kleenex.
he was one of the better, not better, but he was one of the neater interviews we got to do so far.
Yeah, and he brings the perspective of, I graduated from here, and he's used to winning, because when he was there, Sinton was making its deep runs in the playoffs and off of power football. And essentially what they're going back to now, it's not necessarily power in the sense how it was in the day.
But it's nowadays version of power.
Yeah, so it's going to be a pretty interesting offense.
What if they just came in and swept everybody out?
It wouldn't surprise me.
It out.
I wouldn't be shocked if they came in and went 8-2 over 2-8.
Yeah,
I could see 8-2 being pretty realistic.
10-4
on the fact that the kids buy in and pick the offense up fast. I don't really think it's a matter of him having athletes to do this offense. I just think it's a matter of them being able to pick it up in such short notice. I mean, he's been here for almost a year, kind of. But enough to instill it, but it still takes time, right? Because these kids have been running a total different offense their whole life.
Well, here's the thing, right? So there's a similar offense that's being run in the district we're going to be talking about next, down in Port Isabel.
Yes.
Right? And they installed this offense in June. Kids have never seen it before, and they turn around and win 4 games that year. Right? New offense, not knowing any of the terminology, learning as you go. He's had a whole offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I'm just basing off of that and what I've seen and what I'm hearing. I think like you said, I think they've got a very good chance of success this year.
And the fact they're probably also be playing for their buddy Gavin McFarland.
Yeah.
So that's going to bring a little bit of passion probably to the kids, which I think they lacked last year. I just think the stuff that happened with Coach Allen, which isn't his fault, I think that was a big factor.
Yeah, I mean, and he had a lot
lack
of hands
of leadership, and just that's ship sunk.
Rudderless ship, right?
So.
Rudder.
I don't know. I don't know any ship.
Rudder. You own a boat, right? Rudder.
It's rudder the ship.
Rudder. Right. Oh, you're a Navy guy. Yeah, rudder, right?
Yeah.
It's a rudder. Yeah. Okay. So, how do you think this takes up, Pat? How do you think this finishes?
With a bag of nachos and cheese.
Yeah,
a bag of nachos
on a realistic term.
Oh, Sinton.
Give us who's going to be first, second, third, and fourth.
Who's going to the playoffs?
Last drops down. First, I'll go with Sinton. Second, okay. Who else is on the list?
Ingleside, Orange Grove,
I'll go
Rockport.
With 1 Sinton, 2 Ingleside, Orange Grove.
You just listing off the ones I just said back to.
Oh, no, but right. Tim, what do you think? You're fired.
That's fired, dude. Effective immediately. Fuck. Watch your language.
Just said it out.
This is a
who won district last year?
NSFW
Rockport
podcast.
I think it'll be between Rockport and Sinton for first.
I'll
go with Ingleside. No, Orange Grove 3rd, and Ingleside 4th. No, wait. Yeah.
See, I got Rockport pegged easy number 1. I think that's really theirs to lose. I'm going to go with West Oso at the 2 spot. Just simply off Malachi Flores being the game changer. I think it's going to come down, honestly, this district title is going to be between West Oso and Rockport. Depending on if West Oso doesn't pull a Miller at some point in the season and just kind of fold it away, right?
Yeah.
But I'll go Rockport, West Oso. I'll give 3rd place to Sinton. And I'm gonna take Ingleside in the 4th spot. And with just a nudging out Orange Grove probably in a head-to-head.
I can't disagree with you. I'm kind of in the same boat there. It's going to come down to that Rockport-West Oso game on who's going to take that first spot. And right now, I'm going to say Rockport just based on the history, right? They beat them last year. They've got a lot of kids coming back. Yeah, I don't see any difference in Rockport, West Oso sitting in Ingleside.
To me, the difference, a little bit of the difference there, whether you see Rockport and West Oso,
I could maybe flop sitting in Ingleside.
Yeah,
maybe sitting.
Hey, that's a battle though. I don't remember what the Battle of Highway something.
That could be
what it's called, but
that could be the game too.
281.
I think so.
For that fourth,
is there 181?
361.
I don't know. Cut that crap out.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah. No, I mean that's really it, right? I think I can flip flop 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. You know, and that's kind of. I guess that's kind of
can't be wishy washy.
And that's going to be kind of wishy washy, but.
It'd be like 5A last
Stone
year.
Cold what's
your hard prediction?
Rockport, West Oso, sitting Ingleside. I can't see anything different. I can't see anything different.
No, that's a solid pick.
Yeah.
I agree.
But as you saw with how it folded last year, that's football. It can change.
Anything can happen.
You know?
Yeah, anything can happen. This at the high school level, especially, right?
Yeah.
So
that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it is. So without taking up any more of your time, we're going to go ahead and turn this over to the interview we had with Coach Troutman. Guys, we hope you enjoyed it. It's a good one. Okay, that was Coach Troutman. He had a lot of good information. And we recorded this, 3 weeks ago, maybe?
2 or 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago. Maybe some things have changed or whatnot. I mean, he's hired some more coaches. He's still looking for coaches. And that's a trend around the Coastal Bend. But either way, I digress. I'm excited.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
being in there with him, I thought you were ready to suit up. And you may hear some thumping in the background. That's him hitting his finger on his desk. I thought he was going to pop through his glass on that.
It's not the heart. It's not the heart going to explode. I really did think he was going to have an aneurysm at some point in there, right? But seriously though, I was skeptical, and then I went and we had that meeting and interview with him, and you're like you said, I was ready to play for him.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if he's got a buddy that's like in the military who told him.
I just think that he kind of touched upon that in the interview is his dad.
Yeah,
his dad kind of instilled that work ethic and that mindset, and he comes from an old school family. Yeah. So I think that's where you see a lot of that. And he's a good old boy from Sin, right?
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that is our 15-4A Division II breakdown.
Rocket Man, the story of D.W. Rutledge and the Judson High School football dynasty, is a must-read. It provides complete coverage of every game coached by Rutledge, but more importantly, tells the stories of the impact he has had on the tens of thousands of students, parents, coaches, administrators, and fans. Dr. Charles Breitup and Chris Daly, both well-known in the Texas high school football community, joined forces to tell this much-needed and inspiring tale. Get your copy now at rocketmanbook.com.
All right, guys, a little break from our 4A D2 preview. We're here with Coach Michael Troutman of the Sinton Pirates. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Doing well.
What do you want me to come with?
Dude, all right. So
I got to think about it.
Coach Troutman was gracious enough to give us some of his time to kind of talk about what it's like to come home and talk about his new coaching philosophy. It's, if you've been reading the paper or seen anything on the news, gone are the days of the spread here in Sinton. It's back in line with power football of how they were in the late 80s, early 90s, mid-90s. So it's a dynamic shift in coaching philosophy. So Coach Troutman's taken some time out to kind of give us a little bit of insight on what he's got looking forward to the season. Coach, you want to go ahead and hop in?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We, coming into what I grew up with, guys, is I'm an old slot T guy that grew up here with Gary Davenport, and we were the slot T. And just throughout the years, the programs that I have been associated with in coaching, the offense is built around the run game. Establish the run, pound the ball out, make defenses have to stop the run, and then use the passing game when they start loading the box. And so I'm big into the run game. You know, we're not going to run the slot T, but a large portion of our run game is built upon power, counter. We'll run some inside zone. And to me, that's just the essence of football, guys. I mean, that's the essence of football. That's like you win the ball games in the trenches.
Very true.
It's you know, and that's just what I grew up around. You know, I have nothing against the spread. I mean, I think it works if you got the guys to do it. And I'm not saying that we don't have the guys here to do it, but this is just what I believe. This is what I'm going to win the game with the offensive lineman. And my philosophy is that if the game is won on the trenches, and if my offensive line can beat the defensive line that's put forth in front of us, we're probably going to win the ball game. And if my defensive line can whip the offensive line that's in front of us, we're probably going to have a good chance of winning that ball game too. I'm going to put it down to there. Power football, run the ball, pound it out.
That's a lot like what Cal Allen, you see in Cal Allen. That's what we were talking about yesterday when we were discussing football was you see a lot of emphasis on the offense and defensive line, you know, so it doesn't really matter exactly. I mean, you have to have good skill position behind
Absolutely.
you, right?
Yes.
You know, you have to be able to have guys that can read the holes, make the cuts, be smart and intelligent, and hold the rock. But if you don't have the guys up front to open up holes for them big enough that they can get through and get you a couple yards here and there, you're gonna have a hard day. So, you know, I know you mentioned the slot T, right? Is that going to be the main formation you run, or do you ever get in shotgun and run out of the shotgun?
No, we're going to still run it out of the gun. We're going to still our formation, our base offensive formation is going to be run out of the gun.
Okay.
Now we'll include a tight end.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll have the tight end split out.
So do you run like a traditional shotgun, or do you kind of lean more towards the pistol where you have your running back?
It's a little bit more of the pistol.
More towards the pistol.
Yeah,
okay.
more towards the pistol, and then we'll run a traditional gun. We'll set the running back to either side. We'll be able to do some stuff coming from Klein Collins. We ran a lot of sniffer back stuff.
Okay.
Where we would have an H-back type, a fullback type that was set within the formation, and we'll be able to motion him out, bring him in, just work variations off of that.
Pretty much make a fullback he kind of lines up as a tight end traditionally, right? In the pistol, and then you motion him in if you're going to run inside, or maybe get him on the other side of your tight end if you're going to try to do a sweep, and then you catch people offside, you come with a counter. I know. So at Klein Collins, did they run a similar style offense, or were they more of a spread? You know, because I know you're an assistant head coach up there, and just it gave a spread look to it, but it wasn't. I mean, it was based out of twins open with a sniffer back. Gotcha.
Done out of gun with an offset back. And, I mean, basically that fullback was just a skilled guard that was pulling, you know. And so with Sitton, you know, I have a great offensive coordinator coming in that and his base formation is going to be based out of doubles. We're going to get into trips. But what we're doing is that we are merging what we did at Klein Collins and what he's bringing in. And what we're going to do is be able to, like you said, motion that guy in, bring him into the box, use him as a sniffer use him as a sniffer. Then we can motion him out, run him across the formation. There's so many different variables that we can do with that.
To me, that sniffer back if you have an athletic sniffer back that can catch passes as well, that is really crucial, because now not only you have a really good blocker, you also have a guy that you can swing out for a couple yards here and there, and then if he's quick, you know, he can make a 3-yard play turn into a 20-yard play. So that's a pretty crucial position in this offense.
It is, you know, it is, and in that position you have to be able to catch the ball.
Yep.
If we put you out wide, you have to be able to block. If you brought into the ball into the box where you're pulling around for it, and so it's a critical position. You know, it's a lot of stuff to know, but heck, I think it's a heck of an offense, And there's just so many different variables to it that, our plan is to keep defenses on their toes and having to make adjustments and getting the secondary moving and making eye changes with the secondary and the linebackers and, just hitting them at all different spots on the field.
Well, it's not going to be hard around here. Everybody's either the spread or the slot tee or the wing tee.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something that these defenses haven't seen.
Right.
Unless they're getting deep in the playoffs and seeing stuff from up north.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Let's be honest, it's Texas, right? And everybody's running the spread. Everybody wants to throw the ball around. So,
Air raid.
yeah. So, and we think one of the things that we've always talked about is that what makes Cal Allen so successful is when they get in these deep rounds of the playoffs.
Right.
There's playing teams who are just playing spread offenses.
Right.
And it's a nightmare to prepare for in 4 days, 5 days.
And don't get me wrong. Now, we're going to throw the ball now. We're going to throw the ball because I believe in order to establish your running game, you have to have the threat of being able to being able to throw the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's going to be it's a dual threat offense, but the bread and butter is that we're going to establish that run game.
Exactly.
We're going to establish that run game
to open up your passing game, and then
Absolutely.
vice versa. When they start keying on that defense, or the defense starts keying on that run game, you can beat them with a slant here or there, something to catch them off guard. Exactly. So when you came from Klein Collins down here to Sinton, how was it trying to? I mean, I know you're coming in. You want to transition this offense to the incoming seniors and juniors, all the way down to your, I guess, junior high, right? So, how's that transition went? Getting the kids kind of involved and teaching them what your philosophy is on football.
Guys, when I came in, I'll be quite honest with you. I was not concerned about the X's and O's. I was not. My main priority coming into Sinton, Texas, was that I had to establish the culture that I wanted in the athletic program. And that culture was going to be based on discipline, toughness, and unity. I'm not taking anything away from what Coach Allen did. I have the utmost respect for what Coach Allen has built here in Sinton. And being a former alumni, I mean, there are no words to say that just the amount of respect I have for him. But I knew coming in what I was used to, what I went through, what I grew up, was that those were my three main components, was to build that toughness, that Sinton toughness. And I look at these kids and I see me in high school. I do. Those kids that if they value you and they believe in you, they'll run through a brick wall for you. And that's what these Sinton boys are made of. That's what these Sinton athletes are made of. And I knew that I can build on that toughness of being from Sinton. And I also knew that the discipline was where it makes things happen. Because, guys, if you don't have that discipline, if you don't have that toughness, if you don't have that team unity, and I'm talking like from everything to where we get in parade rest in the off season, we look the same, we dress the same. We if a simple toe is over a line that's not supposed to be over a line, we're all being punished for it. The whole team is being punished for it. I want the little things done right, that team unity. And if you don't have that built, it don't matter what you run with X's and O's. So my first priority coming into Sinton was to build that culture, and it's coming along. And I think that there was a huge improvement as far as the discipline and that toughness and just that team unity coming along during the off season.
Yep, that's a very militaristic approach, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Being that I'm a veteran, I retired, but what it does is it builds that teamwork and it builds that accountability amongst the players.
Absolutely.
Because if they're all being punished, they're going to want to not all get punished off of one discrepancy.
That's right. It comes down to, it's not about me, it's about us.
Yeah. And
it's about us, what we're going to do.
And what they're going to end up doing
exactly.
is they're going to take care of business before it gets to you.
You're listening to the Lone
That's
Star
right.
Gridiron
and it
Sports
holds
Network.
each other accountable.
Yep.
And my big thing is accountability. I want them to hold each other accountable as a teammate, because as coaches, we're going to hold them accountable. And this goes far beyond just the X's and O's, guys. I mean, the accountability is they're going to be held accountable for what goes on in that classroom. And it goes on for what they're going to be held accountable for the decisions they make in the community. And they're going to be held accountable for the decisions that they make while in athletics. There's three components to this. And that accountability comes down to representing the legacy of what Sinton Pirate Athletics is about. It's that never-ending S. It's that commitment to excellence in everything that we do. And that is something that it's bred in me. It's bred in me. And so, I think coming back, it was already there. It's already deep within my heart about that never-endingness and representing those who played before in the years and representing the community and just what that never-endingness stands for, And, and I think these kids have adjusted well. They have, it's been a positive change for them. And it also comes down to building relationships. You have to be able to build relationships with kids, and they have to know that you love them, that you trust them, and they'll run through a brick wall for you. And that's kind of the essence of this offense. The essence of this football, the essence of the defense is that we're going to get after it for 4 quarters, and we're going to win the ball game in the fourth quarter. And that's one thing I stress. We're going to win the ball game in the fourth quarter because that's where that toughness comes in. That's where that taking care of the little things comes in. That's where fighting till the end comes in. And that's what I wanted to build. And that's what I wanted to build. And now that is transitioning and it's building, now we can focus on the X's and O's, and it's we've gotten to the X's and O's, now with UIL, it allows you to have time to work.
2 hours, yeah.
2 hours during the week to work. And so we've been able to incorporate it within our strength and conditioning program. And these kids are, the football knowledge is here. They know football. It's just making the few little adjustments with the offense. We are going to a 3-4 defense. They were a 4-man defense before. Again, at Klein Clowns, we ran a 3-4 defense. And that's what I know, the 3-4. And I think it's a heck of a defense. I think it's you can make all your adjustments. It's easy adjustments. It's and it lets the kids play. The scheme that we have, it lets the kids play and not have to think on the field because I don't want them thinking on the field. I want them reacting to the field and flying to the darn ball.
So, go ahead.
So, Coach, you say you know the 3-4 and whatnot, and that's what you're comfortable with, and it helps your kids not have to think as much, and they can fly to the ball and all that. Is that kind of is that your background where you had coming out of college and whatnot? I guess in high school, I'm not extremely familiar back then when you were playing, but were you on the offensive side? Like, what is your
Let me give you kind of your
background in your football take?
Well, being from Sinton, I played linebacker for Gary Davenport, and I also was an offensive guard in the center. When I was recruited in college to play for Sul Ross State University, I went as a linebacker. Played linebacker my freshman and sophomore year, and then halfway through my sophomore year, I got moved down to defensive tackle. Ended up my senior year playing straight nose guard. And my first job out of college was at Caney Creek Conroe, out of the Conroe ISD. And I was there for 10 years, and I was on the defensive side of the ball. Coached defensive tackles. When I went over to Klein Collins, I started off as defensive tackles. I actually was a defensive line because we ran a 3-4, so I had the ends and the nose guard. And eventually became the defensive coordinator there. So defense is in my blood. Defense is in my blood, and that's what I know. And we studied, we perfected that we think what this 3-4 defense needs to be. We met with Katie, Air Force, that run a 3-4. We got a lot of ideas from there and kind of molded into what fit our kids and how the system that we have with this 3-4. The way I went to offense, this is kind of a neat story, is that in 2016 or in 2015, our offensive line coach was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And his name was Jim Scott. And Coach Scott was going through radiation and chemotherapy. And sometimes he was able to make practice, sometimes he wasn't, depending on how he was feeling. And the offensive line really wasn't it was being coached by a lot of different guys because of the situation.
Right. Coach
Sabota, who was the head coach at Klein Collins at that time, he came to me that offseason and he said he was really, really concerned about the offensive line. And asked if I knew anybody out there that could possibly help out with the offensive line, to help out with Jim whenever days that he was missing, so they can be consistently coached. And I just made an off remark comment. I said, I said, Coach, I've always coached defense, and this time I was the defensive coordinator. And I said, if I ever had an opportunity to coach offense, the only position I like to coach is the offensive line, because it goes back to me. I think you win the ball game in the trenches. And he got that look in his eyes, and I can just tell him. He looked at me and he goes, Coach, come on over to the offensive side. I want you. Come on over. And I was like, Coach, I've been coaching defense for 18 years. And I'm kind of thinking, gee whiz, am I doing that bad of a job at DC? And he's like, nothing like that. I mean, we just got off of a good state playoff run, and he was like, he goes, just consider it, to come over to the defensive side. To the offensive side, and the defense. I knew the defense. If I did, the defense will be left in good hands with a previous defensive corner that came back that was there, and so there wasn't no drop off there. And I went home and I prayed about it and talked about it with fellow coaches, and called some of my old coaching buddies up, and I called Coach Scott and talked to him about it, and he told me, guys, and he said, if he was going to leave it in anybody's hands, he'd want it in my hands, and that convinced me right there. This was more than just about what. It was more about what I could do for the team and for this coaching staff, and especially for Coach Scott. And I called Coach Sabota up. I said, "All right, I'm coming over to the offensive side." And I said, "But there's only on one. You got to do one thing for me." And I said, "I don't want a coordinator's position. You keep that coordinator's position with Coach Scott. I don't need a title to define who I am. I'm a coach, and that's what matters. My first name is Coach, and I don't need a title to define me. That title still belongs to Coach Scott, because he's still alive, and he's still going to be part of this." And so I became the offensive line coach with the assistant of Coach Scott whenever he was able to make it. And I'll be honest, I took off with his offensive line and fell in love with offense. Just the blocking schemes and the offense, and them trying to outmatch defenses, and it helped me knowing defense so much. Now I was able to know what they were trying to do, So we took off, and that was in 2016, 2017, and 2018. And eventually was a run game coordinator. Put that together with the head coach, and so I've know both sides of the ball, and I'm appreciative of that opportunity. And kind of end the story with Coach Scott is that that year in 2016 we ended up going to the state semifinals, and we lost to DeSoto, who ended up winning the state game.
Yeah, I remember that run. It was.
I had to turn it down because it was coming up on all our mics. So.
Am I talking too loud?
That's okay.
Okay, I tend to
Give me
get.
a second. When you're getting ready to talk, I'll turn it back up.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember that run. Not super vivid, but I do remember the Klein columns. Black helmets, right, with the yellow KC on the side.
Gold helmets.
Or the gold
helmets with it was a navy.
Like okay,
navy. Yeah.
The logos they put on the Fox don't do it justice, but that was a pretty stacked team y'all had that year.
Very stacked.
And I think DeSoto had that quarterback that went to
went
TCU.
So, yeah.
And they won state that year, I believe, as well. So that's one of those games you just.
Oh, hey, and
just happens.
Yeah, and we were up going to the fourth quarter by 2 touchdowns.
Someone like that
turnovers,
on the
2
field.
turnovers on the field. Yeah, return for touchdowns and end up losing. But it was a heck of a run. I mean, state semifinals, and what was so special is that Coach Scott was able to be a part of that, and he ended up passing away that January.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So did Coach Scott kind of mentor you when you took over the offensive line?
He did.
I mean, obviously you had a pretty good grasp on like what to expect because you played offensive line, like you said, a little bit here and there. So he just kind of taught you the little things that
and it was more like
up over time.
I wanted to keep it the same terminology that he used. I didn't want to change the terminology because that's what the kids were used to. Yeah. And it was just learning the different terminology, learning the different blocking schemes. And once I got the hang of that, it was kind of just putting my own imprint on it as well. I wanted a certain attitude with these guys up front. You hear a lot about is taking that defensive mindset and putting it on the offensive line, And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I wanted some guys that were going to, just get after it in the trenches and just have that total domination mindset to them, And so it was. He did help out a lot, and I after every game, he wasn't able to make every game, but I would text him. I would go by his house and talk with him. So he played a huge impact on it that year, and it's something that I always remember. You cut it, but that's the offensive line that year. Look at those boys. He's at Tulsa. These were two brothers. They were twin brothers. Can you believe that?
Yes. Fraternal, I guess.
Yeah, twin brothers. That was my two offensive tackles. That was my center. He went off to play up north somewhere. Then my two guards.
Wow.
They did it. It was unbelievable. Like,
about 300 across the board, 280. And yeah.
More, easily. You're talking almost 4+ here.
Oh,
You're talking almost 4 here. You're talking 3, almost 4 here. These were the littlest guys, but that's right because we pulled them.
Yeah, Brett's pushing 6.
If
that guy's 4, that Brett's pushing 6.
And he's 6'3". So, and then let me show you this right here. Turn this right here. There's Coach Scott. There's Coach Scott right there. Yeah.
What was his background? Where he looks like he probably played college ball somewhere.
Yeah, he did. He played up Baker State, Baker University up in, he's, where is Baker at? I can't tell you, but he has he's a big old boy. Big old boy. That's when he was healthy. And that's him with my daughter. He coached at Westfield, was at Magnolia.
Okay.
And then he came over to Klein Collins. We actually coached in the Bayou Bowl this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so he wasn't able to coach in it because he was going through the stuff. But I made it a point to where these boys knew about him. And I coached the offensive line in the Bayou Bowl, the Houston Bayou Bowl, and he was able to make it to the game. And I wanted a picture with him, with those boys, because it was a motivating factor, Yeah. Even though he wasn't able to be there for the practices, he was there in spirit. And I owe a lot to him, and he'll always be a part of my my life, So that's Coach Scott though. Pretty neat deal,
cool.
Huh?
That's pretty cool. What's that little booklet you got there? What is it, football? Or
these were actually my my interview notebooks.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So when I interviewed it for the job, and what I'm doing, I'm putting together.
You just don't walk in with a sack lunch. You usually have stuff to hand out. So
it's been 6 years.
Yeah. So I'm taking stuff that I put together and putting them handbook and guide and all stuff. So
Coach Scott had a really big impact on you as an offensive coach, and which gave you the experience on the offensive side, and that's good being a head coach. Because sometimes I think you do see, like, I don't think you see it so much down here because these schools have money, but compared to like the schools in Dallas, schools in Houston, Austin, that. I never heard of passing game coordinator or run game coordinator.
Yeah, you get
I've
a lot
always
of
just
that now.
known head
Offensive
coach,
coordinator.
offensive coordinator,
Yes.
defense coordinator, O-line coach, linebackers coach,
Yes.
D-line coach. A lot of times the DC is going to be the D-line coach, and then you have a linebackers coach. Like that's
Right.
how it was at Portland with me. So when I heard passing game coordinator and run game coordinator, I was like, well, damn, they got a lot of extra coaches and spots like that. So I think maybe up there you get this guy. He's had a really good run as a DC. Like you got 18 years. You never got the offensive side of the ball, but you're still a head coach,
Right.
Some people get you head coach, and then now you're.
I think a lot of it too is titles.
Right? Yeah,
a lot of it's titles. You still have one guy that's got to call it.
Yeah.
But it just kind of breaks down a little bit more. One offensive coordinator or the passing game coordinator could really look at the passing game that they're going to attack with, a run game coordinator. I guess it kind of takes a lot off of people's plates, coaches' plates.
Exactly.
I've heard of defensive coordinators, and to where you have one that's taking the back end, the secondary, and then you have one that takes the front, and so, I just kind of, I think the thing about being a coaching staff is you want to give ownership. I think that's important, that coaches feel they have a part in it. They're not just there.
Exactly.
And it gives coaches ownership in it. And sometimes it is just a title that it is, but it's that ownership within
and
that
taking
coaching
pride
staff.
in their
and taking pride in what
their
they're doing.
guys.
Exactly.
So you don't want to be the coach, but your guys are the ones that are making everyone get punished.
Exactly.
You want your guys to be up at the top.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier you're bringing in an OC. What's his background? Where's he from?
His name is now Coach Mounts. Rod Mounts is the OC that I'm bringing in. He was here in Sinton before with Coach Allen. He came in Coach Allen's second year here and was here for quite a few years, left to go somewhere else. He's coming from – I can't even think about where he's coming from right now. It's not Divine. It's
Dehanis?
No, it's no.
Dilly.
Dilly.
Oh, Dilly. Wow.
He's coming from Dilly. Yeah, he's coming from Dilly. And, I had the opportunity to interview some coordinators. And it was going to be a deal to where I wanted to find one that was open to merging. To merge what we did at Klein College.
To kind of take what y'all have and what he's doing. And
I tell you what, Coach Mounts, he is fiery. He gets after it. He understands the game. He has a great offensive philosophy, and he was open to the ideas of mergence, and he liked it. And so it's been a good working relationship as far as merging the two offenses together, you know. So excited about it, really excited. And I'll tell you what's neat, too, he's also the offensive line coach.
So, we kind of hit on it earlier. You're back home.
Mm-hmm.
And the time you've been gone, things have changed as far as the athletic landscape and what the districts have been. A couple of years, Sinton was in Cuero's district. Now they're back in a more Coastal Bend district.
Right.
While you were gone, some of these teams that are in the district kind of took a slide, right? But now that you're back, it's almost the same situation as when you left. You had a resurgent West Oso team that popped up out of nowhere last year. I mean, to us, to the outside of West Oso came out of nowhere. To those guys, they probably knew they had something good.
Right.
So you're facing this schedule. Looking at the schedule you guys faced last year and the schedule, it's essentially the same thing, just flopping locations.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
When it comes to looking at other teams, guys, this is my approach to it, and this is how the kids are going to look at it. It's a faceless opponent. It really is. It's a faceless opponent because it's not what they do. It's about what we do, how we execute. In looking at the different teams, you got to have respect for all of them. Growing up, West Oso always had teams. Yep. They were very talented.
Yep, back in the 80s,
athletic,
the 90s, they were very good.
And it was, I remember playing them in Bi District. And they had some athletic teams. Rockport was always a battle.
Yep.
And it's still a battle. So they have some kids over there. Then a great program over there. Ingleside was always a battle as well, growing up, and playing high school ball against them. And and then you have Orange Grove, and then you have Orange Grove, who we used to scrimmage back in high school, but you never underestimate a team. I don't care what their record was before because they have coaches that want to win too. And they have kids that are out there to win as well. And I think as soon as you start getting caught up in what this team has, what this team is going to do, that you're losing focus on what's really important, and that's about how you are executing the plays, the kind of culture you're building, what we have to do to be successful. And that's one thing that I don't get caught up in rivalries because I don't want the focus to be on necessarily who we're playing. It's about us. It's about how we're going to execute day in and day out, game after game. And it's about the process that we're going to have to do to get where we need to the goal that we want to reach. And, I respect everybody in the district. I think they got a heck of a coaches over at their coaching staffs, their kids. And so, I can't give you really a solid answer because I respect them all. And regardless, we're going to have to line up on Friday night, strap it up, and got to play, regardless of the situation, regardless of what type of caliber of team they have, what type of caliber of team we have. It's got to come down to playing that Friday night and who executes the most and who has the least and the fewest mistakes. Exactly. And that's usually the winner. So like I said, it's a faceless opponent. We're going in and execute and do what we have to do to make sure that we get the hopefully the victory.
What you got? What else you want to touch on?
We kind of hit on Tom.
I talk football all day.
We already hit Tom already, right? I know we're hitting 30 minutes already.
Do you want me to talk more about Tom just coming in?
We kind of hit
Oh
on
no,
it.
you
Okay.
We don't want to beat the dead horse.
Okay,
on that one.
that's
Yeah, we've hit on that
thank
already.
you, because I think that's smart. I don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want to go any further, and it could go.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
people can misconstrue things and things
Exactly.
like that. So I think what you said
Okay.
is good.
Okay.
You want to talk? How do you feel about like your player personnel? Like, just kind of give us an update on who you think is going to maybe not so much be leaders, but like who maybe like your H back, like your sniffer back. Who you got a couple guys in that? You want to touch on?
Yeah, we actually do.
Let me ask
Okay.
this one real quick, and it's going to be on coming back from last season.
Okay.
Right, just the adversity these guys faced last year. I mean, it's easy to get your tail between your legs after the season Sitton had last year, and
Right,
how
right.
how are you rebuilding that?
There you
right?
go.
So,
All
all right. So, Coach, and that's a very good outlook, as that every opponent's a faceless opponent, and,
Right.
and you build on that way. The question that I've got, and probably our listeners got, is Sitton had a pretty rough year last year. It's no secret.
Right.
I think
Kind of unexpected.
very unexpected.
For me, I'm not used to seeing Sinton have seasons like that.
Right,
in,
right.
in my existence in this world.
Yeah.
I'm not used to seeing Sinton have teams like that.
And the kids, the kids aren't used to
Right.
having a season like that. I mean, that's probably the first losing season Sitton's had in, I think, before Tom Allen got here. I think a year before, maybe that first year he was here, if we talk to Cave, was
Yeah,
probably his first year here was the last losing season they had. And
I
from
think
there,
you're right.
they've been
Yeah.
on a roll.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because it success breeds entitlement to a sense, right?
To a sense, yes,
And,
absolutely.
So how do you get these guys to rebound from a season like that coming into this next season?
I think what you got to do, it comes down to building that culture. I think it comes down to taking away the individualism. What I have found out is when teams go through struggles like that, it ends up promoting a lot of individualism. You got to draw that out. And you got to go back to the basics of this is a team. And it's building that unity within them. And that was taking place during off season. That's taking place during competition during off season. That's taking place of those kids just building relationships amongst themselves. They're not just players that play on the same team. They're friends. They care about each other. There's a family atmosphere. And I think that's the way that I've approached this, is that we're a family. This coaching staff, these kids, we're a family. Whatever happened last year happened. It's nothing we can do about it. But what we can do now is move on and move forward. And from the very first day that I came in, I asked them, do you want to be champions? And they said, yes, we do. Because I still believe that despite how the season went last year, these kids believe in winning. That's what they're used to. That's what's sitting, the tradition of excellence is built upon. And when they told me, Coach, we want to be champions, I said, well, you've got to earn it. You've got to earn it every day that you step into that weight room, that you step on that football field, that you get on that practice field. And it is going to be earned because it's not going to be given to you. Rockport's not shaking in their boots. Beeville's not shaking in their boots. Ingleside's not shaking. What's those just because of the Sitton name? You've got to earn it. And you're going to earn it by how much effort you put in that weight room, how much effort you put in SAC camp this summer, how much effort you put out on that football field. And you've got to build it together as a team. And I'm telling you what, it was like it was beautiful to watch. And that was just a short time that we were able to install this offseason. But just how they grew together, and you just saw that confidence come back. You saw that confidence of, hey, I'm going to be there for my brother. I'm going to have my brother's back. This coach is going to push me because he believes in me. You don't focus. I don't think you focus so much on the record, on the football. You focus on building that culture. And that's how that you get past that stuff, and you saw it. I mean, you saw the excitement during the offseason. I mean, we're out there, we're doing competition. We're doing tire wrestling. We're doing tire flip competition. And you just saw that fire, that excitement, and them getting together and doing chants. And that's what it's about. And that's how you move past whatever season it was last year. Build that culture of believing in each other, believing in the coaches, and get back to that Sitton toughness, winning mentality, you know. And it has to start there. It has to start there, you know. And there's no guarantee in anything. There's never a guarantee, you know. But you better have a starting point, and you better have a vision of how you want this program to be and the culture you want to be established. And I think it starts with the vision. And I had this vision coming in. This is what I wanted to build. And I think that these kids are excited. They are excited about this upcoming football season, you know. And it's doing the little things too, you know. So, you know, taking care of the locker room, you know, taking care of our facilities. The little things is what makes the difference, you know.
And that's good, and that goes back to your whole thing of building that team unity, you know, because
Absolutely.
you get in a battle in a game that, you know, could be 7-7 going in the fourth quarter, and it's finding that little bit of extra pride, you know, that that's going to push you over the edge where the other team you're facing, they could be full of just studs and have no sense of pride. And
that's right.
They're
that's
going
right.
to falter,
it's that
you know,
fourth quarter commitment.
And then that leads into your off seasons, because instead of now you got a couple guys that are, hey, we're going to go hit the weight room, we're going to go to the facility, and they're dragging their buddies that, oh, man, a lot of these kids nowadays like to play video games. There's no way around that. Getting them out and getting them up here and getting them lifting or just moving around, running routes, whatever it is, staying active, that's huge.
Holding each other accountable. Even if, like
exactly.
you said, even if it's just throwing the football around.
Exactly.
They're out doing it. They're out doing it together.
Because it's easy it's easy for a 13 to 16, 17, 18
absolutely.
kid to just say, you know what, for 2 months. And we've seen it. I mean, we're not taking nothing away from kids around here, but I mean, we saw in a couple of the events we went to, you know, you can tell that the kids that have been out doing camps, the kids that have been putting in work versus the kids that they took a month and a half off and they come out in this heat. And being down here, it's gonna kick your tail within the first 15 minutes, you know, and you can tell which ones have been putting in the work, and that's a great philosophy. And I think that you hit on the head right there with being able to rebound from a season like last year, especially coming from a place that's used to winning. I mean, I remember Sinton in early 2000s with Alan East and everyone. Yeah. I mean, I know Sinton's good program. Caveman, he was a senior when I was a senior. Yeah. They went. I think they ran into West Columbia that year, one of the best teams in state, round 2, or else they would have had a deep run as well. So, your philosophy, I'm into that.
I appreciate that, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Coach, I think we've taken up enough of your time. I think
guys, I love talking football,
and we actually got to head to work.
Okay, all right.
But no, we appreciate the time, Coach. We'd like to check back in as the season goes on and get some more feedback from you and see how everything's going.
I think it's great what y'all are doing. I think that, you know, Coastal being football, I mean, that's what I grew up with. That's what y'all know. And these communities love it, you know. And short story, just going to end with this, though, is not going to mention now, I was talking to a college, and I was like, and I asked them, it's a big college, and I said, do y'all recruit down into South Texas? Like, no, Coach, we don't go down there. I stood up and I said, that's a bunch of crap. I said, there's players down there. There's players down there. You got to give them a chance. You just said, maybe there's not as many as you would have in a collective bunch like you do in Houston or Dallas, San Antonio, but there are players down there. And I promise you those kids have heart and they love the game of football. And I'll be darned, sure enough, that coach sent us some college recruiters down here in South Texas, even down to the Valley as well, because it's down there in the Valley as well. Because I take pride in Coastal Bend football. I take pride in the Valley football. I mean, that's what we know, you know. And when it comes down to Coastal Bend football, I believe in it. I believe in it. And it chaps my butt when I hear colleges, when this certain college said that they weren't getting down there. But you know what? They fulfilled their commitment and got somebody down here to get these kids exposed, to recruit these kids, because there are players down here. Yeah, there are players down here. Absolutely.
And we talked about it on one.
You know, and we've heard it from kids who've had recruiters tell them, no, we don't go down there.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bull, man.
And coaches as well. I mean, you're not the first.
I had a buddy, my junior. He was a senior. Prototypical 6'5", 325. He got an offer and he ended up going to play at Stephen F. Austin. Mm-hmm. He went and played at Stephen F. Austin, and then he ended up transferring out to UTSA. But like I said, I mean, he had everything.
6'5", 320. That's huge.
He had everything to be that, you know, UT A&M type commit. But you don't see that type of colleges come down here now. It's honestly a big deal when you see Stephen F. Austin or UTSA even start making the realm down here. You know,
and you know, and kids deserve the chance to play if they want to play. And I always tell these kids there, if they want to play after high school.
And let's remember, Stephen F. Austin and Solverhouse and schools like that. That's not a bad.
No, it's not.
It's not at all.
You know, I would not change. I played Division III football, and I would not change it for the world. I had the opportunity to play in 40 football games out of college. I mean, out of high school. 40.
That's a lot more football than most people.
Yeah, so I mean, and loved every minute of it. Played a lot of football post high school.
Yep, and education's education.
Exactly.
I mean,
and got a great education in it.
And you don't have to pay, and if you don't have to pay for it, even better.
Yes, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
There's no, in my eyes, I'm a big proponent of education. There's no such thing as a D1, D2, D3 diploma.
That's right.
No.
And education is education. Absolutely agree with you.
I'm pretty much good on it.
You got anything? Okay. Well, again, Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank y'all.
We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to seeing what the Pirates do this season.
All right. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.